Hi, St. Peter's students. I miss all of you so much. I hope you're doing really well. I know that this adjustment period that we're going through and learning to do school at home has been a little rough in patches, and it's had its ups and downs. So I'm going to change up what we're doing in art a little bit. I would like for this to be a lot of fun for you. I want to continue to teach you to draw and how to paint, but I don't want this to be something that feels like a burden. I really want this to be something that you look forward to. We're going to start with some review, and then we'll get right into the projects.
We're going to start with a little bit of review. So some of the geometric shapes and organic shapes that we use to make up almost anything are circles. So go ahead and use your pencil on any kind of paper and draw yourself just a few circles. They don't have to be perfect. Just get used to drawing around, around, around. Next, we're going to do some squares. So those are two straight lines going up and down and two straight lines going across. And it doesn't matter if you go over. You're just trying to do your very best in making a square, but they don't have to be perfect. You're just getting used to going up and down and straight across. And then you can start making some rectangles. Make them two sides taller or wider. But rectangles and squares have parallel lines. So you can make fatter rectangles or really tall and skinny ones. Now we're going to do some triangles. So triangles are three sides straight. They don't have to be equal. All three sides can be different. Just try to make some triangles just to get your hands warmed up and your mind warmed up a little bit. We see these shapes in all kinds of pictures. We use circles and squares and rectangles quite a lot. There are other shapes too that we use, like a trapezoid. Now, a trapezoid is basically what happens if you make a triangle and then you cut it off. So if you can see here, if we continued these straight lines, you would have a triangle. See right here and right there. But so we use these a lot also in making things. We also use ovals quite a lot. Now ovals are like circles that got sat on. They can be tall and skinny. They can be short and wide. They can be really small. They can be really large. And again, they don't have to be perfect. I just want you to make some of these basic shapes. All right, those are going to be like eggs, which are like ovals, only they're thinner on one side and fatter on the other. Let's make another one. So you just go around and back up. You just try to start at the top and go wider and wider around and go back to there. Okay, and then we could try some hearts. So hearts are up, around, and down. Up, around, and down. Do you see how my heart is lopsided? That's okay. You can keep working on them and keep working on them until you can kind of control your hand and get them to be equal on both sides. That's the goal. But sometimes lopsided hearts are really more interesting. Another organic shape that we use sometimes is a bean shape. So that one is kind of like an oval that someone sat on just in the center, kind of like that. They almost, if you look at it, look like they could be hearts if they had a point. So just go curve like that and then around. That makes a really nice bean. If you really want it to look like a black-eyed pea, you could draw yourself a little line like that and some dots on it. Anyway, all right, we're going to practice some lines now. So I have a ruler, but you could use any straight edge, or you could just do it without anything. You could just freehand it. So I'm going to practice a little bit just a little bit, a few times, just tracing some straight lines going this way. I'm going to make a few straight lines going this way. You can end up making a pattern with your ruler and your lines. Now let's practice some curvy lines. So I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to start here and I'm going to go up and down, curving, curving, curving. I'm going to do another one here, curving, curving. And now I want to do a zigzag line. So zigzags go up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and up and down, up, down, up, down. If you remember, we were working on drawing houses and buildings in perspective when we left school. So we're going to kind of pick up with that. And this is a book I'd planned to read to classes, and we never got a chance, so we're going to do it now. This is called PreK, Architect by Andrea Beatty, and it was illustrated by David Roberts. PreK, Architect. Young PreK is an architect and has been since he was 2, when he built a great tower in only an hour with nothing but diapers and glue. "Good gracious, Ignatius," his mother exclaimed, "that's the coolest thing I've ever seen." But her smile faded fast as a light wind blew past, and she realized those diapers weren't clean. "Ignatius, my son, what on earth have you done? That's disgusting and nasty. It stinks." But Iggy was gone. He was out on the lawn using dirt clods to build a great sphinx. When Iggy was 3, his parents could see his unusual passion would stay. He built churches and chapels from peaches and apples and temples from modeling clay. At dinner one night, to his father's delight, Iggy got a bright gleam in his eye, and out on the porch built the St. Louis Arch from pancakes and coconut pie. Dear Ig had it made until 2nd grade, when his teacher was Miss Lila Greer. On the very first day, she had this to say: "We do not talk of buildings in here. Gothic or Romanesque, I couldn't care less about buildings ancient or new." She said in her lecture about architecture that it had no place in grade 2. That might seem severe, but she was sincere, for when she was no more than 7, she'd had a great fright at a dizzying height in a building so tall it scraped heaven. On an architect's tour of the 95th floor, young Lila got lost from the group. She was found 2 days later in a stuck elevator eating cheese with a French circus troupe. After that day, it's quite safe to say, she thought all building lovers were nuts. As a teacher, she taught that above all one ought to avoid them, no ifs, ands, or buts. As you might guess, it would cause Iggy stress to hear such terrible talk. But he didn't hear. He sat in the rear while building a castle of chalk. "You, Iggy Peck, your desk is a wreck. Tear down that castle right now. You will not build in here. Is that perfectly clear? Do you need to see Principal Howe?" "No, ma'am," Iggy said. He lowered his head, and his head sank down to the floor. With no chance to build, his interest was killed. Now 2nd grade was a bore. After 12 long days that passed in a haze of reading, writing, and arithmetic, Miss Greer took the class to Blue River Pass for a hike and an old-fashioned picnic. They crossed an old trestle to the small island nestled in the heart of a burbling stream. But they no sooner passed than the footbridge collapsed and Miss Lila Greer started to scream. "We're trapped here, oh my! Alas, kids, goodbye!" Her eyeballs rolled back in her head. She dropped to the ground with a vague groaning sound, luckily fainted, not dead. The class was amazed. They stood there quite dazed, uncertain of what they should do. But one bright young man was off hatching a plan which started with Miss Lila's shoe. Soon every lad and lass there at Blue River Pass was working together as one. And when she came to, Miss Lila Greer knew that something quite brave had been done. She looked in the air and saw hanging there a structure with cables and braces. And on the far side, beaming with pride, were 17 smiling young faces. Boots, tree roots and strings, fruit roll-ups and things, some of which one should not mention, were stretched ridge to ridge in a glorious bridge dangling from shoestring suspension. It all became clear to Miss Lila Greer as she crossed that bridge over the stream. There are worse things to do when you're in grade 2 than spend your time building a dream. Now every week at Blue River Creek, elementary and second grade, all the school kids can hear, along with Miss Greer, how the world's greatest buildings were made. The weekly guest speaker, in t-shirt and sneakers, talks of buildings from Rome to Quebec. Of course, he's the guy who builds towers from pie, the brilliant young man, Iggy Peck. The end.
In the book, Iggy Peck, Architect, one thing that we see several times in the book is this little cat. And I thought it would be fun if we could draw this little cat together. So he is in almost all the pages. He's there, but I like the way this one looks, and I think that we can do this. We're gonna look first at the shapes. There's like a U shape for his head, and then he has 2 little triangle ears and a straight line across. He has a little part of an oval. It's just like a long U shape for his tongue, a little bitty heart for a nose. He has long curved lines for his legs. He has this little sideways backward C shape, and he has this long curved line with a really tight little turn on the top. And we're going to try to draw this. So let's get started. All right, so for this, all you need is paper and a pencil and maybe an eraser if you feel like it, but it's not necessary. All right, we're gonna start in the middle of the page. We're gonna find kind of the middle area and I'm gonna go in the middle and then slide over a little bit because I want him to take up about this much space. So I'm gonna start with the U shape. However big you draw your U is going to determine how big or small your cat is. I could draw him very tiny, or I could draw him really large. I'm going to go for kind of a middle-sized cat, though. I'm going to put 2 triangles on top. That's going to be his 2 ears. And then he has pretty much a straight line across there for his head. His eyes are right here in the middle. So between here and here, right in the center, that's where his eyes are going to be. They're just like little curved lines, 2 of them. Then he has, close to the bottom, he has a little heart. So the way that you can do this, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can actually draw a little heart if you know how. But if you don't, a really easy way to do it is an upside down triangle. So let's just do that. Across, down, and down. That also works for a nose. Then he has a little curve line down and back up again because he's having some food. Now we're going to do his back. His back is going to start right here in the middle of his head, and it's going to come over to here. So I'm just going to draw, it's kind of straight, barely curved. It kind of goes up over to about right there. And then I'm going to come back here. Here's his mouth. I'm going to slide over about right here. Do you see kind of underneath the same spot right here? We're just going to do 1 line and loop down. We're going to draw a straight line across. We're going to loop down and up again. And now we're going to come over. This is his tummy, like that. Now we're going to make that backwards C shape. It's going to go right here, not all the way at the top, but a little bit down from there. We are going to make a backwards C, like that. And then let's make his foot, and it's going to, see how this one's shorter, this one's a little bit longer. That's perspective. We're going to make this one be about the same height there. So just back up again. Now we're going to just curve this a little and come up all the way to there. Do you notice how I left a little space there? I don't want to close that because his tail is going to come up. Let's give him one more leg. See, he has 1, 2, 3. He needs one more leg, and it's going to be back here, just curved up. And it's about the same height as that one, more or less. Okay, now for his tail. You could do his tail any way you want, but in the book, his tail comes up, curves, and goes back again. All right. Now, I think our cat needs little paws, little claws on his paws. So just draw little curved lines there, 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 and there. Okay. And I think we should give him something to eat. In the book, he has a plate, but I think that we could just give our little kitten a bowl. So we're going to draw an oval. And then we're going to draw a curved line down for the bottom of the bowl. And the last thing we want to do on this is draw another little line right here inside. That's where the milk is. Okay, so we need some ground. So we're going to draw the line. Let's come up here on his cheek, on his face. Draw the line out. And let's come over here, skip the cat, and come over here. There. And if we wanted to, we could give our cat some whiskers. So right here on his cheek, we could do 1, 2, 3 little lines sticking out there, and 1, 2, 3 little lines sticking out there. Okay, that's your cat. So what should we do with this cat? We could leave him like this, or you could paint him, or you could color him. I'm going to use some colored pencils because that's what I have here with me. I'm going to use a brown colored pencil. In the book, the cat is white. If you look and see again, the cat is white, but I think I'm going to make mine brown. There. All right. My cat's done. I hope that you had fun drawing your cat, and if you can share that with me, I would love to see what you've done. You can take a picture of it with your phone or your iPad, or you can have your parents help you post it on the Facebook group, or you could email it to me. I would really love to see what you've done. I hope you had fun. Goodbye.